So now we're going to move on to database searching, and I'm going to teach you how to search faster and more efficiently. So what we're going to start with is search theory. And what's great about this is that it can apply to any and all databases in our library collection. So these skills that I'm going to be showing you can be transferred for any other course or any other subject that you might be studying here. So we're going to begin with a keyword search, starting with your most important concept. Now, starting with keyword searches at the very beginning stages of your research is always a good idea because it will cross-search all fields. And this means it will look for your word where it appears anywhere in a bibliographical record. So it's going to search for author, title, publisher, abstract, subject headings, which are also called descriptors. So basically you're getting the broadest number of results for your major search terms. And this is okay in the beginning because you just want to explore as much as you can. But later I'll show you how to get more specific. So if you want to increase your search results, you can use OR between your related search terms in parentheses within the same search box. And this will search for related terms or synonyms all at once. So that's kind of what I had touched on earlier with your synonyms. Databases might describe a topic differently than an author might. So when you're at this stage of the research process, you're going to want to think of as many ways that a topic can be described. So a silly example that I've used here is if you want to write a paper about Batman, which I know I would really love to do. So you can start with Batman or Bruce Wayne or the Caped Crusader. And there are other variations of Batman. So you don't want to miss out on an article just because it refers to your subject in a different way. So we're really just covering all our bases to make sure we're getting the richest number of results. So truncation allows the database to search for variations of a word by using an asterisk at the part of a word where letters might change its meaning. So an example that I've used here is Canada. Databases only know to search for exactly what you ask it for. So if you do search for Canada, it will not know to search for variations of that word. And what I mean by variations of this word are Canada or Canada's, Canadian, Canadians. It will only search for Canada. However, if you tell the database to use an asterisk or to truncate a word, which I've used here, it will know to search all of the variations all at once. So this way you know that you're not missing anything pertinent to your topic. However, I will warn you not to truncate too soon. For example, if I put the star after C-A-N-A, I'm going to get a lot of different words with those first letters. So then, for example, canals, canal, any kinds of variations of that word. So truncate smartly. That's my main goal for this section. So now I'll talk about decreasing your search results, because maybe you've gotten way too many, possibly in the thousands, and nobody wants to sift through those, believe me. So when you use AND, it will narrow your search by retrieving only documents that contain each word that you enter. So the more terms that you enter, the fewer hits your search will return. So if I wanted an article about Batman and the Joker and Catwoman and Robin, I'm going to get fewer and fewer results because probably fewer articles talk about all of those characters at once. So another great tactic I'd like to teach you is using quotation marks. So for example, if your search term contains more than one word, you should use quotation marks because this will tell the database to search for those words together and in that exact order. If you don't use quotation marks around search terms with more than one word, it might search for those terms separately. So an example that I've done here is if I want to write about Grumpy Cat, I don't want the database to search for all articles that reference the word grumpy or just cats. I want this cat specifically and who doesn't. So I need to tell the database that precisely. And that's one way to do that, and probably the best way. So probably the most advanced tactic I'm going to be teaching you today is searching subject headings. And this might get a little bit complicated. If you don't understand it right away, don't worry. I can always help you and sit down with you to figure it out. So the first question is, why search subject headings instead of keywords only? Subject headings are used to describe the essence of an article or a book. So subjects are described using a limited number of words. And this is great because it will save you from searching for a major concept using all of the possible words to describe that topic. So the subject headings are also the way in which a database will recognize a topic or subject most easily. So it doesn't matter if an author might use a different keyword, the subject heading will cover that, so you don't have to worry about missing anything. And our goal for using subject headings is to get more precise results that will ultimately be more relevant because you're really narrowing the focus of what your articles are going to be about. So to find the subject headings, you will use a thesaurus, or sometimes it's called an index. Not every database will have a thesaurus, but the bibliographic entries, or the information when you actually click on an article, will usually provide subject headings. So here's an example from the Anthropology Plus database index. You've probably used this before, and if you haven't, this will be one of your major resources, which is listed in our research guide. So I really encourage you to browse that so you know where all of them are located. So what we would do is we would just click indexes, where my big green arrow is. And the second part of using the thesaurus is that it will offer related subjects in the form of broader terms, which are less specific, and narrower terms, which are more specific. So the example that I've shown below, it would be a case search for racism. So racism is the broadest term because it's the least specific, and we can see that there are 751 articles within this database referencing that word. And this is just a sample of all the results that racism returned. So we can also search for racism specifically pertaining to Africa. And we can see that there are only 3. And 1 for this result as well. So it's just browsing the different thesaurus results to see where you might even want to take your paper. If you're starting way too broadly, this is a great way to kind of figure out how you can narrow your topic. So another example that I've done for you, something that kind of interests me, even though I'm not an anthropologist. So an example that I've used is the development of dialects in Italy. So I've broken down my main concept, and this is just an example of me doing the very beginning stages of journal searching. So I found that sociolinguistics is a major subject heading by using the thesaurus. So I'm going to insert that into my first search box because that's my most important term. And I've also selected it as a subject term. As you can see, there's a whole slew of different ways to kind of determine your topic. So text will search all text fields, which is basically a keyword search. And absolutely don't worry about the lower ones, you'll never use them. And my less important subjects are Latin or Italian. And I've actually just left them as keyword searches just because I want to see all of the papers that reference sociolinguistics in relation to Latin or Italian. And that's exactly how it would look. And I got 38 results, which is a really great number of articles to search through. It's not too many and it's not too few. So one database that I would really like to point out to you that maybe isn't used as much as the other ones is the Social Science Citation Index, which is part of the Web of Knowledge collection that we have. I know it says Web of Science, but it actually does do focus on a lot of social science as well. So even though that it's multidisciplinary, you will still find really great anthropology articles within it. So some other multidisciplinary gems to consider are JSTOR, Academic Search Complete, which is a really big favorite of mine, and Project Muse. And you can find all of these in the research guide as well.